The Coalition ignored humanity's warning. 23 hours passed, and the massive fleet around Earth didn't move even a single ship. They were so certain humans were bluffing that they didn't bother preparing defenses. They just waited for humanity to surrender and die. That was their first mistake. At hour 23, the Indomitable and 5 smaller stealth ships slipped away from Earth. They used new cloaking technology that Coalition sensors couldn't detect. The Coalition had designed their sensors to find human ships that used human technology. These ships used modified Coalition technology that humans had spent years reverse engineering and improving. To Coalition sensors, they looked like empty space. Captain Ji-won Kim watched her navigation display as they jumped through hyperspace. Their target was deep in Coalition territory, hundreds of light years from Earth. A mining station called Thermara Station, orbiting a massive blue giant star. That star powered the exotic matter reactors for 3,000 Coalition warships, including most of the fleet currently surrounding Earth. Captain, we're approaching the target, Commander Hayok reported. Thermara Station is heavily defended. 25 patrol ships, 12 defense platforms. They're not on alert. They have no idea we're coming. Good, Ji-won said quietly. Her hands felt cold. She was about to commit an act of war that would kill thousands of people on that station. People who were just doing their jobs. Workers who had families. Scientists who studied exotic matter. Guards who thought they were protecting important infrastructure. She thought about Earth. 4 billion people waiting to die. She thought about her younger sister who lived in New Sol Colony with her 2 children. She thought about humanity's right to exist. Then she pushed all those thoughts aside and focused on her duty. Weapons. Prepare Eclipse torpedoes, she ordered. Target the station's exotic matter storage tanks. Fire on my command. The Indomitable moved closer. Thermara Station was huge, nearly the size of a small moon. It processed exotic matter from the blue giant's core and distributed it to fuel stations across Coalition space. Destroying it would be like cutting a major artery. Everything connected to it would bleed out. All ships in position, Hyuk confirmed. Torpedoes armed and ready. Fire, Ji-won said. 6 torpedoes launched. They were small, barely larger than a person, but they carried Dr. Lee's most dangerous invention. Each torpedo contained a quantum destabilizer that would trigger a cascade reaction in exotic matter. The reaction would spread to the star itself, forcing it to emit a massive quantum pulse. The torpedoes hit Thermara Station simultaneously. For 3 seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then the station exploded in a ball of blue-white light so bright that the Indomitable's screens automatically dimmed to protect the crew's eyes. The explosion spread outward, consuming everything within 10,000 kilometers. The defense platforms, the patrol ships, all of it simply ceased to exist. But that was just the beginning. The blue giant star began to react. Huge flares erupted from its surface. It started pulsing with strange energy that made the Indomitable's sensors scream warnings. Then it released the quantum pulse, a wave of invisible energy that traveled faster than light through the entanglement network connecting all Coalition power systems. Jump us back to Earth, Ji-won ordered. I want to see what happens next. The Indomitable jumped. When they arrived back near Earth 5 minutes later, Ji-won couldn't believe what she was seeing. The mighty Coalition fleet, 5,000 warships strong, was floating dead in space. Their lights were out. Their engines were silent. Their weapons were cold. Every single ship that had been connected to Thermara Station's power network had lost all power, simultaneously. 3,000 ships. Dead. Helpless. Floating like metal coffins in the darkness. Holy hell, Hyuk whispered. It actually worked. Dr. Lee's weapon actually worked. All ships, this is Admiral Park. The communication system crackled. Attack now. Target the disabled vessels. Show no mercy. They came here to kill us all. Let's teach them what happens when you threaten humanity. Earth's defense fleet surged forward. 300 human warships against 3,000 disabled Coalition vessels. It should have still been an impossible fight, but the Coalition ships couldn't fight back. Their shields were gone. Their weapons wouldn't fire. Some ships had backup power for life support, but that was all. Commander Hyuk led the assault. His tactical team identified the Coalition command ships and targeted them first. Human missiles and energy beams tore through Coalition hulls that had no shields to protect them. Coalition ships exploded one after another, brilliant flashes of light against the darkness of space. But Ji-won held the Indomitable back. Something felt wrong about this. Yes, the coalition had come here to commit genocide. Yes, they deserved to be stopped. But shooting helpless ships felt too much like murder. These crews couldn't fight back. They couldn't even run. They were just waiting to die. "Captain, shouldn't we join the attack?" her weapons officer asked. "Not yet," Jiwan said. "Keep our sensors active. Watch for any ships that still have power." The remaining 2,000 vessels weren't connected to Thermara Station. "They're still functional. They'll counterattack soon," she was right. 10 minutes into the battle, the 2,000 operational coalition ships finally reacted. They had been so shocked by seeing 3,000 of their ships disabled that they froze. But now they moved, their formation tightening as they prepared to crush the human fleet. "All human ships fall back to Earth orbit," Admiral Park ordered. "We've made our point. Don't throw away your lives fighting ships that can still fight back." The human fleet retreated. The coalition ships didn't pursue. They were too busy trying to understand what had just happened. How had a primitive human weapon disabled 3,000 of their most advanced warships in an instant? It was impossible. It shouldn't be possible. Across the galaxy, Coalition Supreme Archon Velor received the news. He was in his office on the Coalition capital world when his military advisor burst through the door. "Archon, we have a disaster. Thermara Station has been destroyed. The entire Thermara network is offline. 3,000 ships around Earth are dead in space. Thousands more across the sector have lost power. Humans did this. Somehow humans did this." Velor felt something he hadn't felt in decades. Fear. He pulled up Earth's profile on his data screen. Humans. The violent, unstable species that the Coalition had admitted 200 years ago because they showed promise. The species that the Coalition had carefully watched and controlled because everyone feared what humans might do with advanced technology. It turned out everyone had been right to fear them. How did they learn to destabilize quantum networks? Velor demanded. "We've been using this technology for 3,000 years. Our top scientists barely understand it. How could humans figure it out in just 200 years? I don't know, Archon. But they clearly understand it better than we do. They found a vulnerability we never knew existed. If they can destroy Thermara, they can destroy all 47 major fuel stations. Our entire power infrastructure is at risk." Before Velor could respond, his communication console lit up. An incoming transmission from Earth. From the human admiral, Velor accepted it. Admiral Park's face appeared on the screen. The old human looked tired but determined. "Archon Velor, this is Admiral Minsu Park of Earth. I believe we have your attention now. As you've just seen, humanity has developed weapons that can destroy your entire power network. We've identified all 47 major fuel stations. Each one is currently targeted. You have 48 hours to begin total withdrawal from human space. You will recognize Earth's sovereignty. You will leave our colonies alone. You will never threaten humanity again. And if we refuse?" Velor asked coldly. Park's expression didn't change. "Then one star dies every hour until you agree. We'll start with the stations that power your most populated systems. Billions will die. But they'll die because you chose pride over common sense. Your choice, Archon. You have 48 hours. The transmission ended. Velor sat in silence for a long moment. "They're bluffing," his advisor said. "They wouldn't actually destroy inhabited systems. That would make them the monsters we always said they were." "Are they bluffing?" Velor asked quietly. "Look at their history. Humans nearly destroyed themselves 3 times before they achieved space travel. They've fought more wars in 5,000 years than the rest of the galaxy has fought in 50,000. They're the most violent, most aggressive species we've ever encountered. We brought an execution fleet to kill 4 billion of them. Do you really think they'll hesitate to kill our people in return?" The advisor had no answer. "Send a message to all coalition forces," Velor ordered. "Full military alert. Every available ship moves to defend our fuel stations. And get our top scientists working on a way to shield the quantum network. We have 48 hours to save our civilization." Back on Earth, Jiwan Kim sat in her captain's chair and watched the stars. The coalition fleet around Earth was in chaos. The disabled ships were trying to restore power. The operational ships were preparing for humanity's next move. Nobody knew what would happen next. Yak approached her. "Captain, we did it. We actually hurt them." For the 3 coalition fleet commanders refused to accept surrender. They were hardliners who believed the coalition's strength came from never showing weakness. In their minds, Archon Valor was a coward who had betrayed everything the Coalition stood for. They would rather die fighting than live with the shame of defeat. Their combined forces numbered 800 warships, more than enough to devastate human colonies. They had already ignored Velor's ceasefire order. Now they were racing toward New Sol, the most populated human colony, to finish what they started. Admiral Park faced an impossible choice. He could resume Operation Fallen Sky and destroy the home systems of those rogue fleets. Kill billions of innocent Coalition civilians to save millions of humans. Or he could trust that human conventional forces could stop 800 enemy ships without using the Eclipse weapons. He chose to trust humanity's warriors. All human forces, converge on New Sol, he ordered. We're going to stop those rogue fleets the old-fashioned way, with courage, skill, and superior tactics. Eclipse weapons are to remain offline. We're not killing civilians to win this fight. Then Archon Valor made an unexpected offer. He contacted Admiral Park directly from his captivity aboard the Indomitable. Admiral, I can help you stop those rogue fleets. I still command the loyalty of most Coalition forces. Let me send ships to assist your defense of New Sol. Let me prove that the Coalition can be humanity's ally, not its enemy. Park studied the alien leader's face on his screen. Why would you help us? We just defeated you, captured you, humiliated your entire civilization. Because those rogue commanders are trying to destroy everything I've built, Valor answered. The Coalition was meant to bring peace to the galaxy. Order. Stability. If we allow fanatics to continue this war, the Coalition will fracture into civil war. Hundreds of species will suffer. I would rather work with humans than watch my life's work burn. Park made his decision. Very well. Send your ships. But know this, Archon. If you betray us, I will personally destroy every Coalition fuel station. I'll keep my promise to Dr. Lee about evacuating civilians first, but those stations will burn. I understand, Valor said. I will not betray you. For the first time in galactic history, human and Coalition forces prepared to fight side by side. 500 Coalition ships that remained loyal to Valor joined with 300 human vessels. Together, they moved to defend New Sol against the 800 rogue Coalition warships. Captain Jiwon Kim commanded the combined fleet from the Indomitable. It felt strange giving orders to Coalition ships. These were the same species that had tried to exterminate humanity just days ago. Now they were allies. War made for strange partnerships. The rogue fleets arrived at New Sol expecting minimal resistance. Instead, they found 800 ships waiting for them. Human and Coalition vessels formed a defensive wall between the attackers and the colony. This is Captain Jiwon Kim of the Earth Defense Forces. Rogue fleet commanders, you are ordered to stand down immediately. Archon Valor has surrendered. The war is over. If you continue this attack, you will be firing on Coalition forces as well as human forces. Stand down now or be destroyed. The response came from the rogue fleet's lead commander. Valor is a traitor. We do not recognize his authority. We will cleanse this galaxy of the human infection, even if we must go through our own cowardly people to do it. The rogue fleet attacked. The battle for New Sol was the largest space engagement in modern galactic history. 1,600 warships fighting in a single location. The space around the colony became a chaotic storm of weapons fire, exploding ships, and desperate maneuvers. Commander Hyuk, freshly returned from capturing Valor, led a squadron of human fighters in close combat against rogue vessels. His family was down on New Sol's surface. His wife and daughter were sheltering in bunkers again, praying that the shields would hold. That drove him to fight harder than he had ever fought before. The combined human Coalition forces fought brilliantly. Human tactics combined with Coalition firepower created a devastating combination. The rogue fleet, despite its numbers, was slowly being pushed back. But then the rogue fleet's flagship, a massive dreadnought 3 times larger than any other ship in the battle, broke through the defensive line. It was heading straight for New Sol's planetary shield generator. If it destroyed that generator, the colony would be defenseless. 4 million people would die. Jiwon saw what was happening. The dreadnought's shields were too strong, its armor was too thick. Conventional weapons couldn't stop it in time. It would reach the generator in 60 seconds. She made the same choice Dr. Lee had made at Eclipse Station. All crew, this is Captain Kim. Abandon ship immediately. Get to the escape pods. That's an order. She overrode the safety protocols and locked out all other controls. Computer, set collision course with enemy dreadnought. Maximum speed. Detonate reactor on impact. Captain, no! Hyuk shouted over the communication channel. There has to be another way. There isn't, Jiwon said calmly. Your family is down there, Hyuk. 4 million people are down there. The Indomitable is just a ship. Ships can be rebuilt. People can't. She thought about Dr. Lee, about all the people who had already sacrificed everything for humanity's survival. Tell Admiral Park to finish this war. Tell him to make it mean something. The crew evacuated. Jiwon stayed on the bridge alone as the Indomitable accelerated toward the enemy dreadnought. She thought about her sister on New Seoul, about Hyuk's family, about all the humans who would live because of what she was about to do. Dr. Lee had been right. Sometimes the only way to stop monsters was to sacrifice yourself. Not to become a monster yourself, but to be willing to pay the ultimate price to protect what mattered. The Indomitable struck the dreadnought at full speed. The experimental reactor detonated on impact. The explosion was so massive that it consumed both ships completely. The energy wave expanded outward, disabling every ship within 100,000 kilometers, rogue and defender alike. The battle stopped. Not because anyone ordered it to stop, but because both sides suddenly realized they were floating dead in space, defenseless and helpless, without power, without weapons. Just two groups of warriors who suddenly had no way to keep fighting. The rogue fleet commanders, their flagship destroyed and their forces crippled, finally accepted reality. They surrendered. The war was truly over. 6 months later, the Treaty of New Seoul established a new galactic order. The coalition was reformed into the Galactic Union, with representation from all member species. Humanity was granted 3 seats on the Security Council, equal representation with the most powerful species in the galaxy. It was more than humanity had dreamed of when this all started. They had gone from being second-class members to being one of the Union's most influential voices. All because they had proven they could not be bullied, could not be intimidated, and could not be destroyed. Eclipse weapons were placed under joint human coalition control. Neither species could use them without the other's approval. It was mutually assured destruction made official. A guarantee that this war would never happen again. Admiral Minsu Park retired the day after the treaty was signed. He had spent his entire career preparing for this war, fighting this war and ending this war. Now it was time for others to build the peace. He returned to his family farm in Korea and never spoke publicly about the war again. Commander Hyuk Choi became Admiral Hyuk Choi, the youngest admiral in human history. He was tasked with integrating human and coalition military doctrines, creating a new combined defense force that would protect the entire Galactic Union. He named the first new warship after Captain Jiwon Kim. Archon Velour remained in his position, though he reported to the new Security Council, rather than ruling absolutely. Surprisingly, he became one of humanity's strongest advocates in Union politics. He had learned to respect strength, and humanity had proven its strength absolutely. 1 year after the war ended, a memorial ceremony was held on New Seoul. 4 million people attended, filling every street and plaza in the colony's capital city. They were there to honor 2 women who had saved humanity through sacrifice. Admiral Hyuk stood at the podium, looking out at the massive crowd. Human faces mixed with coalition faces, former enemies now standing together. He opened a data pad and began to read from Captain Jiwon Kim's final log entry, recorded moments before her sacrifice. They asked us to surrender. They thought we were weak because we were new to the stars. They forgot that every species must prove itself worthy of survival. Humanity has always excelled at one thing above all others: refusing to die. Today, we reminded the galaxy why our species survived its own worst instincts. We don't surrender. We adapt. We endure. We win. Hyok closed the datapad. Captain Kim and Dr. Lee gave their lives to protect ours. They sacrificed everything so that humanity could have a future. But they didn't just save us. They changed us. They showed us that true strength isn't about weapons or ships or technology. It's about being willing to pay any price to protect what matters. It's about making the hard choices. It's about never, ever giving up. He looked up at the sky, where the first stars were becoming visible in the evening darkness. The Coalition Council met in emergency session. Archon Velor stood before 200 representatives from member species across the galaxy. Half of them wanted immediate total war. The other half wanted immediate surrender. Nobody could agree on anything. "We should mobilize every fleet," shouted a representative from the Krell species. "Send 1,000,000 ships to Earth. Turn their whole system into radioactive dust. Show the galaxy what happens when you attack the Coalition." "And lose 47 populated systems in the process?" another representative argued. "That's 80 billion lives. 80 billion of our people. We can't sacrifice them just to punish humans." "Humans are bluffing," the Krell insisted. "They wouldn't destroy inhabited systems. That would prove they're the savages we always suspected." Velor raised his hand for silence. The arguing stopped. "I've studied human history extensively," he said quietly. "In their year 1945, humans developed atomic weapons. They immediately used them to destroy 2 of their own cities, killing hundreds of thousands of their own species to end a war. In their year 2089, they nearly destroyed their entire planet in a nuclear conflict. Humans don't value life the way we do. They value survival. And right now, they're fighting for survival. They will follow through on their threat." "Then what do we do?" someone asked. "We buy time," Velor said. "Our scientists are working on shielding the quantum network. We've already protected 30 of the 47 stations. Give us 10 more days and we can protect them all. Then the human weapons become useless and we can crush them with conventional forces. Humans gave us 48 hours, not 10 days. Then we stall them. Open negotiations. Pretend to consider their demands. And while they wait for our response, we destroy their ability to make more of these weapons." Velor pulled up a star map, showing human territory. 3 colonies glowed red. "Intelligence has located Eclipse Project facilities on these 3 worlds. We hit them all simultaneously. If we can't stop the weapons, we eliminate humanity's ability to build more." The council voted. The attack was authorized. On Earth, Dr. Yuna Lee couldn't sleep. She sat in her laboratory staring at the data from the Thermara attack. The weapon had worked perfectly. 3,000 Coalition ships disabled in an instant. But she kept thinking about the 5,000 people who had been on Thermara Station. 5,000 workers who never came home. 5,000 families who would never see their loved ones again. She had built a doomsday weapon. She had thought it would only be used as a threat, a way to force peace through fear. But Admiral Park had actually used it. And now he was threatening to use it again. 47 times, against populated systems. Dr. Lee stood up and walked to Admiral Park's office. She didn't bother knocking. She just opened the door and entered. Park looked up from his desk. "Dr. Lee, what can I do for you?" "You can promise me you won't destroy inhabited systems," she said. "The Eclipse weapons were meant to be a deterrent, not a genocide tool. If you start killing billions of civilians, we become worse than them. Dr. Lee, I understand your concerns, but the Coalition brought this war to us. They were planning to kill every human in existence. 4 billion people. They would have done it without hesitation. Why should we show them mercy they wouldn't show us? Because we're better than them," Lee insisted. "Because if we kill billions to save ourselves, we prove they were right about us all along." Before Park could respond, alarms blared throughout the command center. Captain Jiwon Kim's voice came over the communication system. "Admiral, we have incoming Coalition fleets. Multiple attack vectors. They're targeting our colonies. This is a full-scale assault." Park and Lee ran to the tactical room. The display showed 3 separate Coalition fleets, each one heading toward a different human colony. New Sol, Eclipse Station in the Kepler system, and Darwin Colony in the Outer Territories. "They found our Eclipse facilities," Lee whispered. "They're trying to destroy our ability to make more weapons." "How many ships do we have at each location?" Park demanded. "New Sol has 40 defenders. Eclipse Station has 30. Darwin has 20, the tactical officer reported. "The Coalition is sending 200 ships to each target. We're outnumbered at every location. Send reinforcements, Park ordered. From where, sir? Most of our fleet is defending Earth. If we pull ships away, the coalition fleet here might attack. Park closed his eyes briefly. Then he made his decision. Send the Indomitable to Eclipse Station. Send 50 ships to New Sol. Darwin Colony will have to hold with what they have. Sir, Eclipse Station only has 300 researchers. New Sol has 4 million civilians. We should prioritize the larger population. New Sol has defenses, Park said harshly. Eclipse Station has Dr. Lee's research. If that research is destroyed, we lose our only advantage. The Indomitable goes to Eclipse Station. That's final. Ji-won received her orders with a heavy heart. She knew what they meant. New Sol needed help more than Eclipse Station. But the research was more valuable than 4 million lives. It was brutal math, but it was correct. Saving the research gave humanity a chance to survive. Saving New Sol just delayed the inevitable. Set course for Eclipse Station, she ordered. Maximum speed. Commander Hayek looked at her. Captain, my family is on New Sol, my wife. My daughter. Can't we at least try to help them? Ji-won felt her throat tighten. I know, Hyuk, I know. But we have our orders. The research is more important. More important than 4 million people. More important than any of us, Ji-won said quietly. That research is humanity's only weapon. Without it, we all die. Every human. Everywhere. Your family dies anyway if we lose that research. Hyuk said nothing. He just returned to his station and did his job. The Indomitable arrived at Eclipse Station to find 200 coalition warships already engaged with the 30 human defenders. The battle was brutal. Human ships were dying one after another, their shields overwhelmed by superior numbers. All weapons target the coalition flagship, Ji-won ordered. Hit them with everything we have. The Indomitable charged into the battle. Its advanced weapons tore through coalition shields. One enemy ship exploded, then another. But there were too many. For every ship Ji-won destroyed, 3 more moved to take its place. On Eclipse Station, Dr. Lee watched the battle through the station's sensors. She could see the Indomitable fighting desperately, but it wasn't enough. The coalition forces were pushing through. In minutes, they would reach the station. She looked at her research team. 300 brilliant scientists who had spent 20 years developing the Eclipse weapons. People who had families. People who had dreams. People who trusted her to keep them safe. Evacuate the station, she ordered. Everyone to the escape pods, now! What about you, Doctor? I'm staying. Someone needs to protect the research. Dr. Lee, there are 200 enemy ships out there. You can't stop them alone, Lee smiled sadly. I'm not planning to stop them. I'm planning to deny them what they came for. Now go. That's an order. The research team evacuated. Dr. Lee stayed behind, alone on the massive station. She accessed the main computer and began uploading all research data to a hidden quantum beacon. The upload would take 10 minutes. She didn't have 10 minutes. The coalition ships were breaking through the human defenses. She opened a channel to the Indomitable. Captain Kim, this is Dr. Lee. The research is uploading to a secure location. Once it's done, I'm destroying the station. Get your ships clear. Dr. Lee, evacuate now, Ji-won ordered. We can protect you. No, you can't, and New Sol needs you more than I do. The battle there is going badly. They need reinforcements. Go help them. I'll finish things here. We're not leaving you behind. You don't have a choice, Lee said gently. 4 million people, Captain. 4 million lives, including Commander Hayek's family. Eclipse Station has 300 people. The math is simple. Go save them. I'll save the research. Ji-won wanted to argue, wanted to stay and fight. But Lee was right. New Sol was dying. If she didn't go now, Hyuk's family would die. 4 million people would die. All ships jump to New Sol, Ji-won ordered. Her voice was rough. Now. The Indomitable and the surviving defenders jumped away. Dr. Lee watched them disappear from her sensors. She was alone now. Alone with 200 enemy warships closing in fast. The upload finished. All the Eclipse research was now safely stored in a hidden quantum beacon that only Admiral Park could access. The coalition would get nothing. Dr. Lee accessed the station's self-destruct system. She set it to detonate in 60 seconds. Then she opened a final transmission to Admiral Park on Earth. Admiral, the research is safe. I'm sorry I won't be there to see how this ends. Please, if you have to use the Eclipse weapons against inhabited systems, make sure you evacuate civilians first. Give them a chance to escape. Don't become the monsters they think we are. Promise me. Park's face appeared on her screen. The old admiral looked stricken. Dr. Lee, I promise, your work won't be used for genocide, only for defense. I swear it. Thank you, Lee said. She looked at the countdown timer. 10 seconds remaining. Tell Captain Kim to finish this. Tell her the research survives. Tell her to make it count. The transmission ended. 5 seconds later, Eclipse Station exploded. The matter-antimatter reaction created a blast so powerful that it consumed everything within 50,000 kilometers. The Indomitable arrived at New Sol to find the colony's orbital defenses in ruins. 40 defense platforms floated dead in space, torn apart by coalition weapons. 20 human warships drifted as burning wrecks. The 50 reinforcements that Admiral Park had sent were fighting desperately, but they were losing. Commander Hayok stared at his tactical display. His hands were shaking. Captain, the coalition has broken through to the atmosphere. They're targeting the colony's shield generators. If those fall, 4 million people are defenseless. Then we don't let them fall, Ji-won said. Weapons target the coalition ships closest to the planet. Fire everything. The Indomitable opened fire. Its weapons had been upgraded with technology captured from disabled coalition ships. The upgraded weapons hit harder than anything the coalition expected from a human vessel. 3 coalition ships exploded in rapid succession. Then 5 more. The enemy fleet hesitated, confused by the sudden appearance of a ship that could actually hurt them. That hesitation gave the human defenders time to regroup. The 50 reinforcement ships formed a defensive line between the coalition fleet and New Sol. It wasn't enough to win, but it was enough to slow the enemy down. The battle lasted for 3 hours. 3 brutal hours of ships exploding, people dying, and desperate last stands. When it finally ended, the coalition fleet retreated. They had failed to destroy New Sol's shields. They had failed to capture the colony, but they had succeeded in killing 30,000 people and destroying half of New Sol's infrastructure. Hyok received a message from the surface. His wife and daughter were alive. They had survived in a shelter during the bombardment. He broke down crying at his station, relief overwhelming him. Ji-won gave him time to recover. Then she opened a channel to Admiral Park on Earth. Admiral, New Sol is secure, but we lost a lot of people. A lot of good people. Dr. Lee is gone. Eclipse Station is gone. Darwin Colony fell completely. The coalition is playing for keeps. Park's face on the screen looked harder than Ji-won had ever seen it. I know. Dr. Lee sent me her final message. She asked me to promise we wouldn't commit genocide. I made that promise. But Captain, Dr. Lee is dead because the coalition attacked us. They started this war. They came to our home system with an execution fleet. They attacked our colonies. They forced our hand. What are you saying, sir? I'm saying the time for warnings is over. The coalition ignored our ultimatum. They attacked us instead of negotiating. They killed Dr. Lee. They tried to kill 4 million people on New Sol. They did kill 300,000 on Darwin Colony. We're done being patient. Park leaned forward. I'm authorizing Operation Fallen Sky. We're going to systematically destroy every major coalition fuel station. No more warnings. No more evacuation windows. They want total war? We'll give it to them. Ji-won felt cold. Sir, that's 47 systems. Billions of civilians. I made Dr. Lee a promise, and I'm keeping it. We'll give each system 6 hours to evacuate before we destroy their star. But we are destroying those stars. All of them. The coalition needs to learn that threatening humanity has consequences. The transmission ended. Ji-won sat in her captain's chair, processing what she had just heard. Dr. Lee had been the voice of restraint, the conscience that kept humanity from becoming monsters. Now she was gone. And without her, Admiral Park was going to do whatever it took to ensure human survival, no matter the cost. On the coalition capital world, Archon Velor received news of the New Sol attack's failure. Another 200 ships lost. The humans were becoming more dangerous with every battle. They were learning coalition tactics, improving their weapons, getting stronger while the coalition got weaker. Worse, human intelligence had somehow intercepted coalition military communications. They knew about the plan to shield the quantum network. They knew about the timetable. And they were going to destroy the fuel stations before the shields could be completed. Velor had one option left. A terrible option. An unthinkable option. But the Coalition Council had authorized it. If conventional warfare couldn't stop humanity, then the Coalition would use unconventional methods. He authorized the deployment of biological weapons. 12 coalition deep strike fleets would carry bioweapons to every human colony. They would release genetically engineered viruses designed specifically to kill humans. Earth, New Sol, every human world. All of them would be sterilized simultaneously. The human species would simply cease to exist. It was genocide. Pure and simple. But Velor told himself it was necessary. Humans were too dangerous to be allowed to survive. Better to eliminate them now than let them spread their violence across the galaxy. The 12 fleets departed. They had standing orders to reach human space within 96 hours and deploy their weapons. No communication. No negotiation. Just silent death delivered from orbit. Human intelligence detected the fleet movements. They couldn't intercept the communications because the coalition had gone silent. But they could track ships. And 12 major fleets heading toward human space at maximum speed could only mean one thing. The coalition is launching a final assault, Admiral Park told his command staff. We estimate 96 hours until they reach Earth. We have 96 hours to end this war or humanity dies. What do we do? Someone asked. We decapitate them, Park said. We hit their capital. We capture or kill Archon Velor. We force an immediate surrender before those fleets reach us. That's impossible. The coalition capital has the strongest defenses in the galaxy. Then we make it possible, Park said. Captain Kim, you'll lead the assault. Take the Indomitable and 20 of our fastest ships. Get to the capital before those bioweapon fleets reach Earth. Commander Hyok, you'll lead the boarding team. Your objective is Archon Velor. Capture him alive if possible. Kill him if necessary. But bring me the coalition leadership one way or another. Hyok looked at Ji-won. They both knew this was a suicide mission. The coalition capital station orbited their homeworld, protected by thousands of defense platforms and elite military forces. 20 human ships couldn't possibly break through those defenses, but they had to try. The Indomitable and its small fleet jumped directly into coalition space. They bypassed all the border defenses, all the patrol routes, everything. They went straight for the heart, straight for the capital. The coalition defenses reacted immediately. Thousands of weapons locked onto the human ships. But Ji-won had brought Eclipse torpedoes. Not many, just 12. But 12 was enough. Fire on my mark, she ordered. Target the defense grid power stations. 3, 2, 1 mark. 12 torpedoes launched. 12 quantum destabilizers hit the capital station's power network. The entire defense grid collapsed. Shields failed. Weapons went offline. Thousands of defense platforms became dead metal floating in space. All ships, attack now, Ji-won shouted. Break through before they can restore backup power. The 20 human ships charged forward. Coalition forces tried to stop them, but without their automated defense grid, they were too slow to react. Human ships punched through the defensive line and closed on the capital station. Boarding craft away, Hyok reported. He was leading 50 Marines, the best fighters humanity had. Their mission was simple. Fight through the station, reach the command center, and capture Archon Velor. The boarding craft latched onto the station's hull and burned through. Hyok's Marines poured into the station, weapons ready. Coalition security forces tried to stop them. They failed. Coalition soldiers had trained for decades. They were professional, disciplined, and skilled. But they had never fought humans in close combat before. They didn't understand human ferocity. They didn't understand that humans were willing to sacrifice everything to survive. Hyok's team fought deck by deck through the station. Every corridor was a battle. Every room was a fight. Marines died. Coalition soldiers died. But the humans kept pushing forward, driven by desperation and fury. After 2 hours of brutal fighting, Hyok and 5 surviving Marines reached the command center. The door was sealed. Hyok planted charges and blew it open. Inside, Archon Velor waited alone. No guards, no weapons. Just the leader of the coalition, standing calmly as armed humans burst into his command center. Commander Hyok, I presume, Velor said. I've been expecting you. Hyok kept his weapon trained on the Archon. You're under arrest. Order your forces to stand down. Order those bioweapon fleets to return to base. End this war now. And if I refuse, then I kill you and find someone else to give the orders. Velor nodded slowly. I believe you would. That's why I'm going to surrender. But not because you're threatening me. I'm surrendering because you've proven something important. Humans are not primitive savages. You're strategists. Warriors, survivors. You earned your place in this galaxy through superior tactics and unbreakable will. The Coalition was wrong to try to eliminate you. He moved to his command console. Hyuk tensed, ready to fire. But Valor just opened a communication channel to all Coalition military forces. This is Archon Valor. I am ordering an immediate ceasefire. All Coalition forces will stand down. All bioweapon fleets will return to base and destroy their payloads. The war with humanity is over. We surrender. The transmission ended. Hyuk lowered his weapon slightly. Just like that? You're giving up? Humanity's final warning. Surrender now or watch your stars burn apart. Captain Ji-won Kim stood on the bridge of the warship Indomitable and watched something impossible happen. Through the massive viewing screen, space itself seemed to tear open. One by one, enormous ships appeared out of nothing. Each one was 5 times larger than any human vessel. They kept coming. 10 ships, 100 ships, 1,000 ships. The count kept climbing until her tactical officer stopped trying to keep track. 5,000 enemy warships confirmed, Commander Hyuk Choi said quietly. His voice was steady, but Ji-won could see his hands gripping the edge of his console. They're surrounding Earth completely. We can't run. We can't fight. There are too many. Ji-won had been a captain for 12 years. She had fought pirates in the outer colonies. She had rescued stranded miners from dying stations. She had even faced Coalition patrol ships in border disputes. But this was different. This was an execution fleet. The Coalition had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They were old, powerful, and absolutely certain of their superiority. Humanity had joined their alliance only 200 years ago, and the Coalition still treated humans like dangerous children who needed constant supervision. They gave humanity a small cluster of star systems near Earth and told them to stay there. They watched everything humans did. They limited human technology. They made it very clear that humans existed only because the Coalition allowed it. Now it seemed the Coalition had decided humanity was too dangerous to exist at all. A message arrived. Ji-won played it for her bridge crew. A tall alien with silver skin and 4 arms appeared on the screen. Its face had no expression that Ji-won could read. Humans of Earth. The Coalition has discovered that you are developing prohibited weapons technology. This cannot be allowed. You have 72 hours to surrender completely. Disable all your warships. Open all your research facilities for inspection. Accept permanent Coalition military occupation of your worlds. If you refuse, every human colony will be destroyed. Every human ship will be hunted down. Your species will end. You have 72 hours. Choose wisely. The message ended. Nobody on the bridge spoke. What could they say? Earth had 300 warships total. The Coalition had brought 5,000. The math was simple. Humanity would lose any direct fight in minutes. Ji-won's communication panel lit up. All ship commanders report to Earth Defense Command immediately, the message read. Admiral Park is calling an emergency meeting. 2 hours later, Ji-won sat in a conference room deep underground. 50 other ship commanders filled the seats around her. Some looked angry. Most looked afraid. A few just looked tired. Admiral Min-soo Park entered the room and everyone fell silent. Park was an old man now, with white hair and deep lines on his face. But his eyes were sharp and cold. He had fought in every major conflict humanity faced since joining the Coalition. He had seen Coalition brutality firsthand. He had watched Coalition ships burn human colonies for minor violations of their rules. He had never trusted them. The Earth government wants to surrender, Park said without any greeting. Most of our politicians think resistance is suicide. They believe the Coalition will show mercy if we cooperate. He paused. They're wrong. The Coalition doesn't show mercy. They're not here to occupy us. They're here to eliminate us. Surrender just makes it easier for them. A captain near the back raised her hand. Admiral, what choice do we have? They have 5,000 ships. We have 300. Even if we fight perfectly, we lose. Park smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. That would be true if we fought them directly. But we're not going to do that. He pressed a button and a new image appeared on the screen behind him. For the past 20 years, I've been running a secret project. We called it Eclipse. The Coalition thinks they caught us developing new weapons. They're right. But they have no idea what kind of weapons we actually built. The image showed a woman in a white lab coat. She looked young, maybe 30, with tired eyes and a nervous expression. "This is Dr. Yuna Lee," Park continued. "She's the lead scientist of the Eclipse Project. Dr. Lee, please explain what you've discovered." Dr. Lee's hologram flickered to life in the center of the room. She looked uncomfortable speaking to so many military officers. "We've been studying coalition technology for 2 decades," she began. "Specifically, we've been examining their power systems. All coalition ships use something called exotic matter reactors. These reactors are incredibly powerful, but they have a weakness. They're all connected through quantum entanglement to central fuel stations." Jiwon leaned forward. She was beginning to understand. "We found a way to destabilize the stars that power these fuel stations," Dr. Lee continued. Her voice got quieter. "If we destroy a fuel station in a specific way, it creates a quantum pulse. That pulse travels through the entanglement network instantly. Every ship connected to that network loses power simultaneously. Weapons fail. Shields collapse. Life support shuts down." "How many fuel stations does the coalition use?" someone asked. 47 major stations," Dr. Lee answered. "We've identified all of them. We've built weapons that can destroy them. We can deploy those weapons right now." The room erupted. Everyone started talking at once. Admiral Park let them argue for a full minute before raising his hand for silence. "There's a problem," Jiwon said into the quiet. Everyone turned to look at her. "These fuel stations are in populated systems. If we destroy the stars, we'll kill billions of innocent people. Civilians who never asked for this war." Dr. Lee nodded slowly. She looked sick. "That's correct. I built these weapons thinking we would only use them as a threat. A deterrent. I never intended for them to actually be deployed. Once we start the cascade reaction, we can't stop it. The star will die. The system will die. Everyone in it will die. They're going to kill all of us," Commander Hyok said angrily. 4 billion humans on Earth alone. 20 million more in our colonies. They're going to murder everyone unless we surrender. And even if we surrender, they'll probably kill us anyway. Why should we care about their civilians? "Because we're not them," Jiwon answered. "Because if we kill billions to save billions, we become exactly what they think we are. Monsters." Admiral Park looked at her. "Captain Kim, I respect your morals, but I care more about human survival. The coalition declared war on us. They brought an execution fleet. They gave us an impossible choice. I'm giving them one back." He turned to address the entire room. "In 12 hours, we're going to send the coalition our response. Not surrender. A counter-ultimatum. They have 24 hours to withdraw all their ships beyond the Kuiper Belt. If they refuse, we demonstrate what the Eclipse weapons can do. And if they still don't leave, we start destroying their fuel stations, one every hour until they agree to negotiate." "They'll never believe we'll actually do it," someone said. Park's cold smile returned. "Then we'll have to prove it to them." 12 hours later, Jiwon was back on the bridge of the Indomitable. The coalition fleet still surrounded Earth, waiting for humanity's surrender. Instead, they received Admiral Park's message. Jiwon listened as it broadcasted across every frequency. "Coalition fleet, this is Admiral Minsu Park of Earth Defense Command. You came here to force our surrender. You threatened to destroy our species. We are responding with our own ultimatum. You have 24 hours to withdraw all ships beyond the Kuiper Belt. If you refuse, we will demonstrate a new weapon. If you ignore that demonstration, we will systematically destroy every major power station in coalition space. 47 stars will die. 47 systems will become uninhabitable. Billions of your people will die. You asked us to surrender or die. We're giving you the same choice. Leave now or watch your stars burn." The bridge was completely silent as the message ended. Commander Hyuk broke the quiet. "Captain, we're receiving a response from the coalition flagship." "Put it on screen," Jiwon ordered. The same silver-skinned alien appeared. This time, Jiwon could read its expression clearly. It was laughing. "Humans are even more foolish than we thought," it said. "You cannot possibly have such weapons. You barely understand quantum mechanics. This is a pathetic bluff. We will not withdraw. In 24 hours, you will surrender or you will die. There is no third option." The message ended. Hyuk looked at Jiwon. "Orders, Captain." Jiwon took a deep breath. She thought about Dr. Lee's frightened face. She thought about the billions of innocent people in coalition space. She thought about the 4 billion humans on Earth below. Then she opened a channel to Admiral Park. "Admiral, this is Captain Kim. Request permission to activate Eclipse Protocol." Park's response was immediate. Permission granted. Show them we're not bluffing. Let them watch their stars flicker,